Perfect. Hey, everybody. So first, we're going to start just sort of in your mind. I'd like to take you to places like this all-electric luxury hotel, the Hilton Hawaiian Village. Uh, people by people like Paris Hilton and Britney Spears. I'm sure you recognize them there. You can see over on the right-hand side what an all-electric nice Hilton kitchen looks like. And these are condos all the way up. You go there, you stay on the water, you see the rich and the famous, and you cook on induction when you come home in the evening, assuming that you're gonna, cook. You might be going out to a restaurant. Waikiki is mostly all electric. It didn't get much fossil fuel infrastructure. It has to be boated all the way over from North America. Legally, it has to go on an American boat. So when it shows up, it then has to be reprocessed into something like natural gas, but isn't. And so all through the era of Elvis, for instance, shooting all of his movies in Hawaii, the infrastructure is all electric. People couldn't get fuel from the United States in any significant amount. It made much more sense to just like there wasn't fuel piped to buildings. It wasn't part of how Hawaii was being built at the time. So now that you've got yourself placed, we're going to take a little trip. But who is going to take us out? We need a guest or two. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of choices. Obama, of course, famously put solar panels back on the White House. They've been taken off. It wasn't Reagan's first thing, but he did do it in 1986. So he eventually got around to taking off the solar panels, and Obama put them back on. Those panels, of course, were put on by Jimmy Carter, who maybe you'd want to have a nice vacation. Jimmy, of course, he's probably our most noble of presidents. I think he's his entire life been a person of service, and of course, I want to honor that. You go out there with Schwarzenegger. He's got really cute mini donkeys. Oprah Winfrey, I mean, what an enormous personality. These are all people who have personally put solar panels on their own homes and also are sharing them in the community. Like Akon, who's doing a terrific job of lighting Africa and spreading solar panels throughout Africa. Or Dusty Baker, the man who invented the high five. This vacation, you could sit next to a man who's, pardon me, who's managed the Giants, the Cubs, the Reds, the Nationals. This is the man who literally invented the high five, and he is a big investor in community solar. He goes around and invests in solar in disadvantaged communities, part of how he lives his life. Or look at Jamie Foxx. Look at that solar array that he put up on the hill outside of his mansion. Or Dr. Dre, and look at that mansion with all the solar on the roof. Or all of these people here have put solar on their own roof, made public statements about the importance of renewable energy, and any one of them has enough money to take you on this vacation or just about to go on. So I'd like you to take your pick. Of course, Prince, rest in peace. But if you'd like to go with the ghost, or at least bring some of his CDs, you can take out. You can go out with Prince. He did do a lot of investment in solarizing Oakland. Or how about Chris Hemsworth, who has a fantastic amount of solar on his home in Australia. Or Scarlett Johansson, should be a really fun date, right? Her twin brother runs a solarizing foundation, and she, of course, headlines a lot of fundraisers for him. I think it's fun that 3 of the Hulks have put solar on their roof. They just play a green man, and then they put solar on their roof. There's something there. I think that it'd be great to go out with Adele. Personally, I love her voice. I love her performance style. And if you've actually ever watched the early YouTubes of her before she was famous, she was a really down-to-earth person. She was not dressed up with long eyelashes and amazing hair. She'd wear like a sort of a fuzzy beanie, and it was all about the voice, and still is. So all of these magical, amazing people have done some personal heroism in their own life, made the right choice, and one of them, or multiples of them, are going to take you out. So I'd like you to just take your pick. Who will it be? All right. Now you've got a star. They've got a lot of money, and you being a nice person that decided to take you on a vacation with them. They usually go with a crew, right? So you're part of the crew. First, we're going to go to Bardesano. This is a fantastic resort in Yountville, California, in the Napa Valley, and it's all electric. It's heated with a ground source heat pump that you can see over there in the right-hand corner. Now, you're going to wake up in the morning at whatever hour you want, because they have all electric landscaping equipment. Now, electric landscaping equipment is 10 decibels or more quieter, so it sounds 1/4 as loud. It's dramatic. You can sleep through it, whereas you can't with a leaf blower that's, fueled with gas. So you can see there, like in the upper right-hand corner, that's a commercial grade, battery backpack powered leaf blower. Gets the job done for real. You can also see that on the in the middle there, the guy with the saw, and above him as well. They have robot lawnmowers, as well as rideable versions. These are battery powered and quiet. That's how you live this life of luxury. You wake up when you wish. You walk down the street, and we're going to go to the single Michelin star restaurant, Les Bouchons. This is by the same person who has the French Laundry and Perse. These are fantastic French-inspired bakeries or restaurants, and this is the bakery. It's all electric, of course, in its kitchen. Now, you're going to dine on fresh, seasonal, local fruits, really fancy little puffy pastry things that are decorated artfully. Now you have a choice. Would you like to get into one of the original Tesla Roadsters? This is driven by kind of a tech bro, so you may or may not like the company there, but this guy has a bunch of money, and he's driving around in a 2008 converted Spider that is a Tesla Roadster. Go fabulously fast. Now, I said you have a choice, so how about Neil Young in his 1959 electric Lincoln Continental convertible? A gorgeous vehicle. And you could just like sing next to him, sing your songs. He's going to sing the song. You'll know the song together. Won't it be fun just hanging out with Neil Young? So those are your choices. And you're heading down to the Oakland airport. And you're going to take off. Bring your friends. Seats 9. This is an electric airplane. It exists. You can take a flight in it. And it's not going to be the last one. The state of the country of Norway has announced that in 2045, they're not going to allow gas airplanes to land if they came from closer than 300 miles away. In that flight range by 2045, which is essentially 3 iterations of a commercial plane, it's going to take about 7 years for each plane to go from beginning to end of being conceived of and then completely tested and released to the public. So it's great that they set an end date for when they're going to allow short distance flights, which is a great deal of Europe is 300 miles away from Norway. And they're a fabulous place to go. We're actually going to be going there today. So this is one of the electric airplanes that's available out there on the market, 9-seater. We're going to be stopping in Denver. We're going to get into another one because that's about as far as you can go from Oakland. And we're heading to Chicago, to Allenia. There's 3 Michelin star restaurant here. It's all electric, of course. I say of course because this is a restaurant, you see all the dry ice and the fog coming off? They pride themselves on an alchemist approach to cooking, and they make fantastical things that use food science as well as food. So it's not just them cutting it up. Sometimes they're altering it with chemicals or bathing in dry ice or freezing it or etc. They're famous for making things look different from what they actually are, disguising foods and making magical confections. Now to do that, you need to have really exacting control over temperatures, specifically things like candy making. So all the folks back here, what they're trying to do is get it to like 162 or 168, things like that, and then keep it at the right temperature while whipping it and such. In order to do that, you need to have electric controls. Just cannot do that kind of fancy work at that kind of rate, the way that they're doing it with chemistry, essentially. You just can't do that well with gas. Adding just the right amount of heat at that grade is very challenging to do with gas and very simple to do with electricity. Now, we're going to be sitting out there in Allenia. You might find Justin Timberlake sitting at the next table over, and you guys are going to be just laughing it up because these are helium-filled balloons that are kind of made out of marshmallow. It's the closest equivalent is marshmallow. And you suck out the helium and it makes your voice really funny. And, Justin Timberlake is already a really high tenor singer. So when you listen to him, which you can out on Instagram, listen to him recording, him being silly with a balloon full of helium. So he's at the next table and you're going to enjoy this, I'm sure. Out comes dessert. Now, Chicago is one of the most fabulous cities of our country. You might not have visited there before, but it's a huge city and it's a center of enormous amounts of culture. And so the dessert at Allenia is inspired by the Modern Art Museum of Chicago, which is just physically huge and has the largest collection outside of Paris of Renaissance and Impressionistic art. I mean, truly fabulous, beyond even what you might find in New York City for some of the artistic types you're looking for. So this is inspired by the Modern Art Museum. This is the kind of thing that gets you 3 stars. A white chocolate egg that's filled with freeze-dried fruits that then the waiter cracks right in front of you and it explodes in a confection of dust and sweet sugary things with a drizzle of syrups all over it. Now, to get a little more serious here, Barack Obama and Michelle Obama are going to meet you at Unity Temple, and it's a Frank Lloyd Wright church. Frank Lloyd Wright was inspired because he lived in the Midwest. He actually, his mansion was 30 minutes away from the farmhouse that my mom owned and the family all got to hang out at, the family farm. And so we drive past. My best friend's dad taught Frank Lloyd Wright at the University of Milwaukee. And all over Milwaukee, wealthy industrialists that had Frank Lloyd Wright homes built for them, or his acolytes, the architects that he trained. Now, I want you to see here is that not only is this about unity, which is why we have Barack and Michelle with us here. This is one of the churches that they visit. This is about all faiths being able to come together. You're going to see the inspiration of the prairie. You should be able to see the open sky. See the lines that are going upward. Those are inspired by prairie grasses, which can be 12 feet tall. You can see it's a big and open space, but the lines that pull you up into the sky and the openness there, that's supposed to feel like you're walking through a tall grass prairie. And you know that, of course, churches throughout the world are really inspired by the natural environment around them, the materials that you have to work with, and the environment that you're in. And this is an example of a uniquely American form of architecture, which is the Prairie School, to imitate and celebrate and revere the beauty of the Great Plains. Okay, hope you've enjoyed that little art lesson, because we're getting in another airplane. There's another 9-seater. You can see over on the right-hand side, there's a staff person who can serve you. You'll have your drinks, your fancy little foods, and you're going to be flying in a hydrogen fuel cell airplane to New York City. We're going to land in New York City. We've got things to do. We've got to work off all this delicious food. We're going on a protest, my friends. AOC is meeting us there. We're going to be protesting in Brooklyn. We're going to be going through Queens. We're going to be marching through the Bronx. We're going to work up an appetite. We've got all sorts of great marches and chants. And then we're going to relax at Perse, which is an all-electric 3 Michelin star restaurant. We had breakfast, of course, at one of its sister restaurants back in Yountville, and now we're here, New York City. Perse has gorgeousness in front of you. You're looking out over a beautiful part of New York City, and you're being served things that look like one thing but are another. So like on the left-hand side here, this is sort of a custard of grapefruit. In the middle, that's a piece of fish, but it's of course decorated with some nori and various other sort of squiggles that are supposed to evoke the ocean. You have langoustine up there, which is a small lobster. It's bathed and drizzled and all sorts of lovely creaminess around fresh spring vegetables. And then you have, for dessert, multiple different types of local fruits that have been turned into glazes and ice creams themselves. One of these meals, it starts at about $275. Definitely can spend more than $1,000. They offer up to 50 courses of your dinner. So you have a choice between, just 10 courses but they keep on bringing out small little treats for you that taste extraordinary. Then we're going to Hamilton. Hamilton. So you, of course, have probably listened to some Hamilton. If you haven't, you need to. It's got all sorts of addictive songs, tons of fun. But we're going to go backstage because, we have AOC with us. And she's really popular with Lin-Manuel Miranda. They both have Puerto Rican roots. Both of them are Americans, born in America. But Puerto Rico is America, born on the mainland, I should say. Pardon me. They're New Yorkers. Now, unfortunately, Lin-Manuel Miranda's grandparents' home was destroyed in Hurricane Maria back in 2017. And so he said, we're going to rebuild this house. We're going to rebuild it with solar panels on top. And one of the things you should know is that Tesla's solar plus battery deployment to Puerto Rico is one of the first and best installations of local grid power after the hurricane. It arrived quickly, and it was cost effective, and it provides power day and night. Over the left-hand side there, I just want you to note that all of the cast in their green rooms behind, the curtain, they all have heat pumps in their changing rooms there. You see on the left-hand side, that green arrow is pointing to their window heat pump. Now, a heat pump is an air conditioner that also goes in reverse. And so it can pull heat in just the way it can discharge heat out. It goes in reverse and just has a reversible pump, has an additional valve, some like little computer controls, of course, because that has to do two jobs now, but that's it. It's a very modest increase in cost to go from, say, that window air conditioner at $500 to $600 to the heat pump version of $700. Not much. And then you get heating as well, as they do. Now we're heading in a boat next. We're leaving from New York, heading past the Long Island Sound. We are in the largest yacht, I should say, in the world, a sailing yacht. Now this boat, you can see, has 3 levels. It's pretty extraordinary. And our guest is extraordinary as well. Greta needed to get back home from the protests in New York City that we went to. And so she's on this boat with us, and we're sailing back to England. She's going to be going home. I want you to just note some of the amenities you get to share with Greta here. You have a hot tub. You have a swimming pool. These are heated by heat pumps. You can see in the lower right-hand corner what a quiet, luxury-like heat pump would be for a swimming pool or hot tub. And then above that, you can see the electric grills. You know, you're going to be catching some fish while you're out there. That'll be fun. And it's not really safe to have open flames on boats because think about it. There's a fire. Where do you have to go? I mean, you really have to go overboard. That hasn't ended well for a number of different people who have gone on big boats. Think of the Titanic, for instance. So they have all electric cooking. If you go down below, this is your room. I want you to note that you have an electric induction range once again in that lovely little oven below it. This is what it's like to travel in the lap of luxury on the biggest yacht in the world. And when you're doing your laundry, this is luxury. Now, these boats, it's not easy for them to poke holes in the side, right? So these are ventless washer dryers. They do all the work and then they just discharge it and the water's down a little tube. They don't have to dry laundry by blowing the air out through a hole. The washer dryers are popular all over Eurasia. This is like the #1 fantastic product. It washes and dries your laundry. I have conflicts in my own house, just multiple people use the washer and dryer. People forget, maybe me sometimes, and they leave their wash in the dryer without getting it all the way dry, for instance, or the process of trying to get their laundry from the washing machine into the dryer, someone else is in the way. There's a conflict over that because your laundry is now starting to smell bad because it's been 12 hours and da 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 da. This machine solves all that. This is a happy family member, Sierra Martinez, who works at the Energy Foundation and helps make choices in who in our country gets funded for large amounts of money. Energy Foundation is one of the big ones there. He says, "Oh my God, it's a dream come true. Set it and forget it is the best thing since sliced bread. We throw our laundry in when we go to bed and wake up to a fresh, ready batch. I'll never go back to the disappointment of opening up to wet laundry." So not only has Sierra said, this is fantastic, there's multiple families I could speak to, including my brother and sister-in-law, Aaron and Melissa. They put in a condensing washer dryer. This LG one here on the right-hand side, this is the biggest of the models out there. They think it's fantastic. It sits in the garage, it's super simple, shows up, and gets the laundry dry. Now, we are heading to London. Check out the scene. We've arrived here in the biggest yacht in the world, and London's River Thames is occupied by a lot of super yachts. This is a thing to do, show up and go down the River Thames in a 3-story tall yacht, and then get off and go to fabulous restaurants, buy expensive clothes, etc. This is London, an international city. So the South Bank Tower over there on the left, with the modest solar array up on the roof. Check out Heron Tower. That's got a solar array that goes on the walls from the bottom to the top. It's more than 40 stories. Same, then check out Strata over there. This one is a little bit of a misfit. It's more of a lesson than it is a demonstration, but it's exciting looking. But putting wind turbines into a building is a bad idea because they vibrate. And there were complaints, as of course there would be. This is a residential luxury tower, and you don't want to have your walls vibrating. So that's been tried a few different times. Just know that you don't put wind turbines on buildings. That's an incompatible use. But solar, terrific use. So we're heading down the River Thames. We can see these fabulous buildings. There's lots of them in the skyline. We're going to get out, and we don't have a chauffeur in this car because it has artificial intelligence, and we can just tell it where we would like to go. And we're heading, of course, to Buckingham Palace because we're being taken out by the Harry and Meghan. They're getting into their electric Jaguar concept, and they're going to be taking us out to a really fancy restaurant. If you didn't know, Harry's dad is an avowed environmentalist. He's a very strong proponent for organic farming and has organic farms himself, of course, as royalty. He has multiple estates, and they are organic farms that make vegetables for the community. And he has taught his kids right. You know, this is at their wedding, and this is the vehicle that they drove away in. It was to make a statement, and they did. We're heading out to Heston Blumenthal's all-electric, 3 Michelin star restaurant, The Fat Duck. It's small, it's intimate, it's beautiful. We're going to be fed things that, once again, are inspired by alchemy. He's a bit of a magician with food. So on the left-hand side, you can see here that frothing drink that they bring out. It's going to smell like smoke. Right up to the right of that, that's called snail porridge. It's got creamed peas around little frog legs. To the bottom left there, you see that's a frothing ocean scene. That's salmon froth. And then there's some, dry crumbly cheeses, salty, of course, to taste like the ocean. There's a variety of seafoods in there and some squishy little mushrooms. You're supposed to have an experience of the ocean eating your way through that. And there's dessert, this gorgeous deconstructed pie where each of the different fruits are gelled into little balls or frozen into ice creams or dehydrated into little crunchy nuts for a crust with squiggles on top. What's happening here? This is how you get 3 Michelin stars, people. We're taking off because we've eaten a lot. And we're going to have an electric helicopter fly us over the English Channel. This is Airbus. They unfortunately had to cancel this project due to the recession. If you haven't heard, the global airline industry is in a little bit of trouble. So this is one of their prototype airplanes that, or pardon me, helicopters that we're getting to fly in. But I'm hoping at the end of the global crisis that we get to reinvest in electric helicopters. Really beautiful looking machines there. And we're heading over via helicopter to Denmark, the city of Copenhagen, to the 3 Michelin star restaurant Geranium, which once again features about 50 courses of dishes. That's right. You're gonna have things like levitating chocolates. In that lower left-hand corner, a hen egg of the woods with all sorts of different edible leaves around it. Or in the middle there, like 2 little forest eggs you'd find at the top of some lovely juniper trees, cedar trees. Or if you're taking a walk along the pebbly ocean, you might find some algae balls there. This is the kind of, like I said, there's another 40, 44 dishes that you're going to get to have at Geranium tonight. This is the fabulousness that you can get from an all-electric lifestyle. Next, we're going to take the world's largest electric ferry. We're going to be taking it over to Oslo. Like I said, we needed to take Greta home. She's been very patient as we've been eating our way across Western Europe. Off in the distance, you're going to be seeing Danish wind farms. All over in the North Sea, wind turbines are going up. European countries that are on the coast there are seeing 60%, sometimes up to 80% solar or wind offset of their entire grid during the peak storms that are coming through. But basically 60% is where Europeans' grid is, 60% renewable energy, led by wind farms. Now, when we get to Oslo, we're going to go have some fun. It's at the very end of summer, so we're going to get every bit of sun that we can. And we're going to go out on this electric semi-submarine with these sunning decks. But you can go below and you can essentially snorkel without getting in the cold water. You can see all the fish, all the coral reefs, gorgeousness, of course. This is available to you if you have a battery and electric powered semi-submarine. Oh yeah. But we have some traveling to do. So I'd like to invite you aboard to the Silent 80, the Sky Lounge of the Sea. 3 stories, just battery and solar powered. You can go about 200 miles a day just on the electricity made by the solar panels. You can make your way across the oceans in this boat. It's pretty nice. It has a heat pump hot tub. You can watch large screen movies from the hot tub or watch the sunset in the other direction. It has, of course, multiple rooms for guests, so you can have a whole crew of people there. You've been traveling, right? One of our first stops, we're going to go down the Red Sea. We've gone through the Mediterranean and gone through the canal in Egypt. And now we're in the Red Sea in Dubai, the city of Dubai, the Millennium Hotel. This says 500 places to stay, 9 restaurants, multiple swimming pools, including ones, of course, up on the roof. It's kind of close to the airport and to the coast of the Red Sea there. It's all electric, with, like I said, many fancy restaurants within it. We're going to keep on heading through the ocean. We're in the South Seas. We're in India now. We're at the all-electric ITC Grand Goa Resort and Spa. Look at these pools that you can swim in. They're heated. It's good to be on an all-electric vacation. Next, we're heading to Bangkok, Thailand. Here we're going to be staying at the Rama Gardens Hotel. Another 540 places to stay, you know, hotel rooms and condos of various sizes. I really like that swan that they fold up for you of sheets on your bed. These grand ballrooms, so you can get married there, of course. Go out and enjoy the large fishes swimming through their lagoons around the building. Keep on sailing in your Silent 80, enjoying your hot tubs, because we are about to arrive in Macau. Macau is a little peninsula it's like a province of its own in China, a little tiny peninsula in the south of China. It's tropical, has almost no agriculture though. The entire peninsula is given over to gambling. Some of the investments that have made American gamblers wealthy have been redirected into American politics. So essentially Macau has had a role in how American politics have shaped out in some elections. At the very tippy top of this tiny little peninsula, in this fabulous spire of hotel and restaurants at the top of the top, is the Robuchon au Dôme. And this is Joël Robuchon, pardon me, and he is a French chef. This is a 3 Michelin star restaurant. You can see he's holding truffles there in his hands. Some of these fabulous dishes, the one on the right there features caviar, sturgeon caviar, I believe. And you can see on the left-hand side there, you know, gilded in gold, gorgeous lighting, fancy little tables, and a view of the coast because you are at the tippy top of the city of Macau. Hope you're enjoying your meal. Next stop is Japan. We're going to have some choices in Japan. Would you like to ride in the fastest car in the world? This vehicle accelerates faster than any other built in the world, the Aspark Owl of Japan. You can get in this, and you can be up to 100 miles an hour in under 2 seconds. Almost, you know, after like 2 blinks, you're already at 100 miles an hour. You can get up to 240 miles an hour in about 10 seconds. You can go that fast. Hope you have a long runway in front of you. You have a choice though. Would you like to drive in this? Or would you like to pardon me, I missed my little cue there. So you're going to take this, and this is where you're going to drive around. This is Sanyo's parking lot, emptied for us, you know, because we have to really go tearing fast in this Aspark Owl. And this is a solar integrated building. Sanyo makes solar panels, and so they've coated the entire wall of this building. It's an interesting sort of banana shape of a building. It's a wedge, a bent wedge. It's supposed to be arty. I don't know. I'll leave it up to other architects to judge. And So this is an example of what you're seeing all over the world is that people are starting to incorporate inexpensive solar panels into the walls of buildings. I have a development that we're supporting in Washington, D.C., just on the Beltway there, in one of the suburbs that is around the Beltway of Washington, D.C. So anyway, it's 11 stories tall. There's a 9-story tall parking garage, and we're going to be putting solar panels on the south side of it facing the Beltway and the north side of it because the city required a matching facade, and actually putting aluminum sheets up isn't really any cheaper than putting up solar panels that have been discontinued. And so we're going to be doing more of an art installation on the north side of this 9-story tall, completely solar covered parking garage, as well as a functional south side and of course the roofs. My point being is that solar panels will become dramatically less expensive than say 10 years ago. We're talking 80% cost drop. So it's gotten to the point where solar panels, while not free, are not the most expensive part of putting in a solar array. They might be if you were spending, say, $3,000 at this point. Now it's about like $2,500 a kilowatt. The solar panels part of it is maybe $350 of the 2,500, and then there's racking and labor and wires and all the rest of it. The solar panels are not the expensive part. Our other vehicle, this is where I was going with. So you've maybe zoomed around the Aspark Owl. I'd like to introduce you to a Nissan Leaf that is powering a building. Now, if I can get this to work, I'm going to do a little YouTube video, and I'm going to show you how this, let's see. Now, I fear that you guys are not seeing the screen that I'm seeing, so I'm just going to make sure that, there. Okay. Okay, so you see my little YouTube video, okay? Pardon the pause here. Make it big. This is in Japan. This is a real thing. Okay, convenience store goes out. Ice cream is saved. Okay, back to our regular programming here. Okay, so this is a Nissan Leaf. In 2011, in response to the tsunami that then wiped out one of the largest nuclear power plants in Japan, but led the whole country to shut off all of its nuclear power plants, which is 30% of their power. In response to that and the energy crisis that it created in Japan, Nissan allowed and created the technologies and facilitated other inverters manufacturers to create technologies to be able to convert the battery power to home power, to back up a home or a mini mart, save the ice cream, make it so you can cook your dinner at night. These vehicles, the Nissan Leaf right now comes with about 60 kilowatt hours of electricity, which is actually the same amount of electricity in that Aspark Owl. It's about a 63 kilowatt hour battery. This is also a 64, I think, kilowatt battery here. And this can power a house for 3 to 5 days. If you have a solar array up on the roof, all but about 3 months of the year, you'd have enough energy to go indefinitely with a car absorbing the energy, the excess energy of the day, and then powering your house at night. You could go like that for months. So the Nissan Leaf technology, this is Fermata Energy, that's the manufacturer of this product, but Wallbox, which is made by Quasar, sorry, the Quasar made by Wallbox, that's one manufacturer that's coming to the United States this spring, and Asiaco has the Decibel or Decibel. Both of these are products that convert vehicle electricity to your home's electricity so that when you have a power outage or a mini mart power outage, you can keep the power going with your battery off your car. There was actually a large typhoon in Japan. It's sort of it's a hurricane that hits Japan. That's what they are. And the typhoon wiped out electricity for more than 1 million people for up to 2 weeks. And Nissan allowed their sales offices to be used as charging stations, and people drove the Nissan Leafs to the sales offices, to the floors, powered them up outside of the power outage zone and brought them back. And there's people who blogged about it. It was an actual phenomenon. Enough people had these vehicle to building charging apparatus, these inverters there. Enough people had that was actually a phenomenon. Tons of people got to have power at their homes as a consequence. So this is something to consider. Which is more luxurious, going really fast or having your power on for 3 to 5 days when that person who's driving their fancy car does not. So modest cars doing great work there. Okay, so we're gonna be leaving Japan, and our last stop. We've sailed on the silent Solar 80. They brag about how completely quiet they are. No rumbling diesel motors down below. It's just electric and solar panels. We've arrived at the Hyatt Regency in Waikiki Beach. It's got a fabulous view of the sunset. There's multiple restaurants. All of them are all electric within the compound. Multiple swimming pools. There's even a mall downstairs, an all-electric mall. I hope you've enjoyed your vacation. I'm going to go and quickly do the slides in reverse so you can just sort of think about the things that you've seen and savor it one last time. Okay, reversible energy, building integrated solar, fastest car in the world. Really fancy food at the top of a fun gambling hotspot. Party city, Bangkok, Thailand. Great times. Or a nice hot swimming pool, natural swimming pool, little waterfalls, heated by a heat pump water heater, a big one, built by Colmac on Eastern Washington State, Colmac. This is also, these swimming pools are heated with Colmacs from Eastern Washington State. Here we are in our hot tubbed Silent 80 Sky Lounge of the Sea. Our little electric semi-submarine, wind power, a huge electric ferry that goes through like 4 different countries. It's quite a ferry. Really big electrical cord that plugs into it. Levitating dessert at the Geranium. Sorry there. Just enjoy that. Your helicopter ride. Your deconstructed alchemist desserts. I just have to say it again, snail porridge. That's its actual name. The fat duck. Going out in style with Harry and Meghan. And your your chauffeured, your electric chauffeured Rolls Royce. London's luxurious. This is the definition of luxury, my friends. A condensing washer dryer, all electric, ventless, and it gets the job done. No in-betweens, no conflicts. It's like downstairs on a boat, all electric, so it's safe, no open flames. Isn't that lovely? Biggest yacht in the world, hanging out with a principled person. I wanted to draw that connection, by the way, between how Julia Butterfly inspired so many people in Humboldt County and did change the world. I mean, brought $500 million to Humboldt County to buy out 7,000 acres of forest from a person who had, in fact, illegally bought his company. Hurwitz was eventually found to have illegally taken over the company of Pacific Lumber, but too late. So standing up, like Greta Thunberg does, standing up to power and saying no is incredibly inspiring, particularly when you do hard things in order to accomplish it. People are inspired by your personal commitment. And I encourage all of you to sort of take a little bit of Greta Thunberg home with you, the way that Julia Butterfly Hill inspired a lifetime of activism for many people, and myself included. She's not my only inspiration, but she was inspiring. Backstage at Hamilton, heated by heat pumps and cooled by heat pumps. The solar enthusiast is the genius playwright. Oh yeah. Perse, really, 3 Michelin stars, one of the fanciest restaurants you can even find in New York City. AOC, I hope, don't we all hope that we're going to have something like a Green New Deal in this next administration? I think it's going to happen, and AOC is one of the inspirations for me. I love her determination and her brilliance, just the way she's articulating a vision, not necessarily an articulated plan, but an articulated vision that we can plan around. That's leadership. A hydrogen fuel cell plane, you know, nature-inspired architecture with a heat pump, water heater. If I didn't mention that, this is heated by a ground source heat pump. Um, that's one of the things that you think about in the Midwest is making sure that you can keep a place really toasty warm in the wintertime, and the ground is always warm. Fancy art desserts, partying with just Justin Timberlake. The back kitchen of an alchemist-oriented restaurant, Allenia. Our electric airplane. Ah, a sweet ride, singing with Neil Young. Or hanging out with a tech bro, right? In a really fancy car, electrically powered with wind and solar. That, by the way, is an image from Palm Springs area where you can see just huge fields of old-fashioned solar panel, old-fashioned, pardon me, wind turbines. They're short and they move really fast, as opposed to modern wind turbines, which are much taller, much bigger bladed, and move slower. And yep, they're finding that if they paint the blades, they can get most birds to see them, as opposed to making them invisibly white like that. And for things like California condors up here, the wind turbines that are being planned will also have auto signals to turn off when a tagged California condor is nearby. So you could have a condor population come back and have gigantic wind turbines turn off if there's a condor nearby to make sure they don't get hit. That kind of technology can move forward in saving some endangered species, but honestly, just painting them so they're visible is the main trick. Let's see, pardon me, wrong direction. Our breakfast at Les Bouchons, not getting woken up by the landscaping at Bardesano, France's heat pump. And I'm just so curious, in the chat, before I leave you, if you wouldn't mind typing out who is the star that you picked out to go on your vacation, who's going to treat you to this really special time. I'd love to know who is your favorite. And there's multiple options there. In our beginning. Fun times. Partying with Paris Hilton and Britney Spears. All right. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. The goal is to show you that there is a more luxurious life in front of us than the one that we have now. It's going to be all electric. It's a quieter, safer, less polluting, cheaper way of living. And getting more services, you know, more control. Like when you're cooking, having more control on your food, or have it like water boils twice as fast on an induction range than it can boil on the gas ranges. There's just so much more energy can be delivered much more efficiently. Gas stoves burn at 25% efficiency, induction's at 80%. So you don't need as much energy and you can deliver much more, much quicker, directly into the pot using induction. Okay, well, that's enough of that. I just wanted you to see this is a better life in front of us. I hope you enjoyed your vacation. And with that, I'm going to close. Oh, I want to look at the chat and just see if people did it. Oh, cool. Okay. Prince, says John. Excellent. Chris Hemsworth, says Christine. Absolutely. Shale's Wolverine. I know. Man, Wolverine, that'd be so cool. George want to go with Greta? Of course. Lou Ferrigno. Michael, I totally agree. Man, I watched the Hulk in black and white when I was a kid, and Lou Ferrigno was scary. They put really big eyebrows on him. In the real world, he doesn't have eyebrows like that, but he does have muscles like that, and he's huge. He's like 6'6" in the real world. I read a lot about it. Greta, George says, yep. Hela, Thor's evil twin sister. Yep. Brad and Greta and Lacey Lou. Absolutely. Great. Thanks for playing the game. Appreciate it. Okay. You guys have a great night. Oh, one more. Oh, Rory says, and you're welcome. Rory, thanks for coming. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Take care, y'all.